Welcome to your slow flow session. Today's class is going to be a low slow flow. So we're actually going to be starting on the back. But we have moved into the sign of Cancer this week. So I thought it would be nice to kind of bring elements of the sign of Cancer into the practice, as I want to do. Cancer is a sign that's all about heart and home. It's a water sign, and it's a really nourishing time of year for the soul in particular. So we're going to be doing lots of movement that kind of opens up around the heart and the solar plexus today, and working with the water element as it's a water sign. So using Jala Mudra when we come into our warrior flow. So Jala Mudra is pinky fingertip to thumb tip, the pinky representing the water element in the body. And when we're moving through that warrior flow, maybe trying to really get a sense of allowing the body to kind of flow like water through those shapes really smoothly, really effortlessly moving into the shape. So probably not taking them to their full extremity. If you want to get into the flow, sometimes it's easier to keep the movement a little bit smaller rather than extending too broadly into the shapes. I find that encourages more of a sense of flow for me, but see how you feel. We're going to start on the back, as I said. So let's lie down. And we'll have the feet as wide as the mat and drop your knees into the middle in constructive rest position, letting your arms just rest by the side of the body. Letting your lower back soften towards the earth and just giving yourself a moment now to really arrive here for your practice. Pressing the pause button on any distracting thoughts, concerns, or to-do lists. Allowing all of these things to just sit by the side of the mat now. And giving yourself this time to be completely present for your practice, right here and right now. And scanning through your body now from the top of your head all the way down to your toes. Becoming aware of places in your body that might be holding on to a sense of tension or tightness or fatigue. And then noticing too where you're feeling the opposite way in your body, where there might be a sense of vibrancy, of strength, and spaciousness in the body. Acknowledging that opposites are always present in the body, and welcoming everything about how you are physically, just as it is right now. Starting to connect to your breathing now. Aware of the air as it moves in through your nose and out through your nose. Noticing how deeply you're breathing and noticing the texture of your breath. Maybe it's quite smooth, maybe it's a little jagged, and maybe it's somewhere in the middle. Without judging or criticizing any aspect of your breathing, welcoming it just as it is. And then taking your next inhalation into the center of your chest, expanding your breath to the sides, the back and front, upwards and downwards. Meeting that natural pause at the top of your inhalation. And then starting to exhale, drawing inwards and upwards through the body as you let go of the breath, meeting the pause at the end of your exhale. Breathing in again, right into the center of your chest, and taking your breath in every direction. Finding the pause at the top of your inhalation. And then exhaling again, drawing inwards and upwards as you let go of the breath and anything that no longer serves you, carried by the breath. Meeting the pause at the end of your exhale again. And we'll continue to breathe this way through our practice today, putting your attention on this conscious 4-part breathing pattern. Aware, of course, of the movements of air in and out of your lungs, but also being present right there in the little pauses in between, these places where we get to drop into quiet and stillness. And when we breathe this way, it helps us to be able to start to slow the breathing down. And in slowing down the breath, we also have the chance to quieten a busy mind, to soothe the nervous system, and to connect to a felt sense of sattva, of harmony, balance, equilibrium through the body, the mind, and the spirit. And setting an intention for our practice today as we exist under the energy of the sign of Cancer. Allowing yourself this time to really drop into your heart and into the solar plexus, to come home to yourself, to acknowledge exactly how you're feeling in your body, your mind, your spirit today. And take this time in our practice to really come home to you. And when you're ready, we'll bring the feet back into the middle of the mat now. And then we're going to raise the right leg into the air. You might take your arms out a little way from the body. We're going to make circles from the right hip and handing over to your body to determine what size and shape these circles might be. Letting the left side of your pelvis be really quiet and still as you bring all your attention to how that right hip is moving. Particularly as we're working with the water element today, getting a sense of how the synovial fluid in that joint, where the top of the leg sits into the hip socket, how that is. Moving the other way now, noticing what might be different when we change directions. You might find, as it's quite early in the day, that the hip's feeling a little sticky, that synovial fluid might be a little thicker around the joint. Sometimes when we, in fact, often when we get the body moving, this is the thing that changes quite a lot. The texture and the viscosity of that fluid around the joints as we warm up, it tends to help us move a little bit more freely. Let's release that right foot back to the mat, and we'll do the same on the other side. So raising your left leg up, starting to make circles from the left hip now. Everything on the right side of the pelvis quiet and still as you completely tune into how the left side is moving. Notice what might be different from the other side. Maybe the movement's a little smoother or a little clunkier. Maybe that synovial fluid feels a little stickier. Maybe it's pretty well the same. And then we'll go the other way, paying attention to what changes as we change direction. Paying attention to the little nuances and subtleties in all the movement we make in this session today. And then keeping that movement going, let's lift the right foot off the floor and let the right leg join in. So now we're making circles with the whole of the pelvis, and you might feel like just letting your knees kind of hover around the pelvis, or you might bring your knees right up and into the chest if you like. And then we'll change direction again. And then rest your feet back on the floor. So let's gather up the right leg now. You might clasp your hands over the thigh or over the shin or over the knee or behind the thigh. See what feels best for you. Create a neutral spine position. So we want to just create a little bit of space between the lower back and the floor. Then we'll start to slide the left foot away. If you notice any tingling or any uncomfortable sensations coming in through the left leg or hip, keep that leg bent instead. And we're going to work with the exhalation to gently guide the right thigh in towards the chest. And then when you're breathing in, imagine you can breathe all the way down to the toes of the left foot and all the way up to the top of the shoulder, filling the left side of the body with a sense of spaciousness and length as we release through the deep front line on this side. Bring your attention to the big toe of the left foot and then through to the inner ankle, through the inner calf and inner thigh to the hip joint, and then follow the psoas up to the sternum as we release anything we're holding in the deep front line in the way of energy that doesn't serve us anymore, letting that go and making space. Take one more breath in here. And then when you exhale, let's curl up. Imagine drawing the pubic bone to the navel and then lower the head down as you're breathing in. Curling up again on your exhalation and lowering as you breathe in. So moving through this shape, following your own breathing, so moving at your own pace. And you might choose to close your eyes each time you rise to really allow the lower abdominals to direct the movement, the head following into the action rather than leading it. And when your head comes back down to the mat this time, we'll meet there. And then let's bend that left leg again. We're going to take the right hand over the right knee. The left hand goes to the middle of the left thigh. And let's press into the left thigh as we draw the right thigh into the chest. And now we're pressing down with the whole of the back, broadening through the back of the shoulders and pressing down and through the upper back, the middle, the lower back, the crests of the pelvis, feeling the weight of your head resting upon the mat. And sensing into all of those layers of support underneath you as you do this, really pressing down into that energy that holds space for you to be at home with yourself just as you are. And then release from this when you're ready. Take a little windscreen wiper action with the knees side to side just to reset the spine. And then come back to center. We'll gather up the left leg now, clasping your hands over the shin or over the knee or behind the thigh. See what feels best on this side. Again, let's just check in with a neutral spine position. And then we're going to start to slide the right foot away, straightening out that leg. But again, if you notice anything that's a bit weird or uncomfortable, keep the right leg bent instead. Let's return to the breathing now, working with the exhalation to gently guide the left thigh in towards the chest. And then when you're breathing in, imagine your breath traveling all the way down to the toes of the right foot and all the way up to the top of the shoulder as we fill the right side of the body with a sense of spaciousness and length. Bring your attention to the big toe of the right foot and then through to the inner ankle, up the inner calf and inner thigh to the hip joint. And then follow the psoas up to the sternum as we release through the deep front line on this side, willingly and happily letting go of energy that isn't serving us, that might be trapped in that deep front line, letting it go and making space for everything that will nourish you today. Take one more breath in here. And then when you exhale, we'll curl up. Again, imagine the pubic bone being drawn towards the navel. Lower down as you breathe in. Curling up again on your exhalation. And lowering as you breathe in. Continuing with this, and let's really work with the lower abdominals again to bring you into the shape. The head just following into the action. And when you come back down this side, this time we'll meet here. And then let's take the left hand over the left knee and bend the right leg again, resting your foot on the mat. Take your right hand to the middle of the right thigh. Press into the right thigh as we draw the left thigh in towards the chest. Again, pressing down with the whole of the back, really pressing into the earth, reaching down into those layers of energy underneath us that support us, that hold space for us to be as we are, holding space for us to come home to ourselves and drop into our own hearts today. Release from this when you're ready. And then we'll outstretch the arms and take the right foot on top of the left knee. Take a breath in here, and then we're going to drop the knees over to the right side. And maybe you'd like to support your right knee with your hand and forearm or your block, or maybe the knees are just happy to come on over to that side. You could gaze to the ceiling, or you can direct your gaze to the fingers of the left hand. Settling into the shape, let's inch the fingers away from the body just a little bit more, creating a bit more space to breathe freely and deeply. Let your gaze settle on the fingers of the left hand now. We're going to breathe in here. And then when you exhale, send that left arm into the air, crossing over the body to the right side. And then open the arm out wide again as you breathe in, crossing over the body as you exhale. And then you might like to paint an arc overhead with your fingertips as you send it back to the left. Continuing with this movement and just working out what feels better for you today. Maybe that's the arm just crossing over the torso, or maybe that overhead movement is something that feels quite satisfying in the shoulder joint on the left side today. Again, just tuning into the viscosity of that synovial fluid through the shoulder joint, how smoothly, how easily the arm is moving, or maybe there is a little resistance, a feeling of a bit of kind of stickiness in the shoulder. Without judging that, just noticing what's there, coming home to your body just as you find it today. When you next come to your outstretched arm position, we'll meet there. And then let's bring the knees back to center again. And we'll swap the feet over. So this time the left foot goes on top of the right knee. Take a breath in there. And then we'll drop our knees over to the left side. So again, you might like to give your knees some support with your left hand and forearm, or maybe your block, or just let the knees come over if they're happy to. And as you settle into the shape, maybe gazing towards the ceiling or directing your gaze to the right and inching the fingertips just a little further away from the midline, creating a little bit more space to breathe. And then let your gaze settle on the fingers of the right hand. We'll breathe in here. And then on exhale, send that arm into the air, crossing over the chest to the left side. Open the arm out wide again as you breathe in. And then crossing over the body on the exhale. And you might like to try that arc overhead with this arm, painting with your fingertips as you send it back to the right side. And then tailoring this to serve you. So working out what that right shoulder wants today in the way of movement, working out how your range of movement is today, how that synovial fluid feels through the shoulder joint. Always responding to whatever information your body gives you with intelligence and with kindness. And when your arms come back to that outstretched position again, we'll meet there. And then let's bring the knees back to center again. A little windscreen wiper action with your knees side to side to reset. So come back to center now. We'll set up for Dvipadipittam. So we want a little bit of space between the feet. Your feet might be parallel or they might be splayed out a little bit. See what feels right for you. And then let's get into the 3 points of support in the feet, under the big toe, under the pinky, and under the heel. Really engage through the feet. When you breathe in next, raise the hips and the chest into the air, taking your arms overhead or wide. Begin your exhalation and then gently roll yourself down, little by little, returning to the mat. Rising into the shape as you're breathing in, arms overhead or wide. And then gently rolling back down as you breathe out. And as you're moving in and out of this shape, checking in with the viscosity of your spine, noticing where parts of your spine feel like they're moving quite freely and parts might feel a little sticky or resistant. As we work with the water element today, really feeling into the fluids of the body, not just the big muscles and bones, but all the other elements, the fascia, an incredible network of viscosity that holds everything together for us. And this synovial fluid. And when you come into your elevated position this time, let's hold here. We're going to bring the arms back down by the side of the body though, and maybe you'd like to place your palms facing downwards into the mat, or maybe you'd like to clasp your hands behind your back and walk your shoulders in a little. Let's get right back into the feet again, feeling into the evenness of the foundations of your feet, and then firing up through the calves, through the thighs, the glutes, the abdominal wall, strong, and pressing down with the back of the shoulders, really distributing the load of this pose very evenly. Let's find a little bit more lift through the pelvis now, the central part of this shape, as we hold what many people know as bridge pose. And as we hold this bridge pose in the mid part of the year, considering everything that is flowing underneath you, all the experiences and wisdoms and learnings that have come your way in the first 6 months of the year, and considering everything upstream coming for you, letting that sense of flow underneath and around you be quite present in this shape. Take one more round of breath here. And then when you're ready, we're going to gently, gently roll down. Raise the legs into the air. You might like to take happy baby, holding onto your feet, which I can't reach today, or holding onto your thighs or behind your calves, whatever feels right for you. Bringing just a little movement into your happy baby if you like, getting that lovely massaging sensation through whatever part of the back is asking for it. And again, pressing down into all of the energy that supports you from underneath. And then let's bend the knees, bring the feet back to the mat, and we're going to roll over and come onto cat pose now, onto hands and knees. So establishing cat as we do, with just a little bit of softness in the elbows so that we're looking after our shoulders in weight bearing. Let's lengthen out from the crown to the tailbone and draw the belly in. Breathe in here in cat, and then as you exhale, move to cow pose, tucking the chin and tailbone under. Return to cat again as you breathe in, lifting the gaze, and then move on to child's pose as you let your breath go. Come back to cat again, breathing in, finding neutral there. Moving on to cow as you exhale. Return to cat again, lifting your gaze. And then moving to child's pose as you breathe out. When you come back to cat this time, we'll meet here. Then on your exhale, send your right arm through and under your left. Send that arm high again as you breathe in, and then thread through and under on the exhale. Continuing with this, you might take a little bit more of a space between your knees if that helps you move through this shape a little easier. Having the knees wider can be a good thing. And really getting this movement through the solar plexus, through the very middle of the spine, as we open up into that energy center that is very much embedded in our theme of heart and home today. And as we come through this time, let's slide that right arm right through, bring your head down to the mat. So you might rest your head on your block or on the mat directly, resting the right side of the face down. Then inch the fingers of the left hand just a little further away. So we're really feeling this behind the shoulders and through the back of the shoulder blades. You might notice your hips have swung around to the left side. So if that's the case, we'll bring them back to the midline a little more. And then let's take a bend in that left arm, bringing it behind the body, coaxing that left shoulder back, broadening through the front of the heart, the front of the chest. And then find your way out of this, returning to your cat pose again. And we'll breathe in here. And then on exhale, send your left arm through and under the right. Send the left arm high as you breathe in. And then threading through and under on the exhale. Continuing with this movement again, really aware of the movement being generated from the very middle of the spine, opening up into the solar plexus. And then when the arm threads through and under this time, let's rest here, bringing the left side of the head down to the mat, inching the fingers of the right hand a little further away. And again, you might notice your hips have kind of swung around to the right side. If that's the case, we'll bring them back to center a little. Breathing freely and deeply, opening up between the shoulder blades and through the back of the shoulders. And then take a bend in that right arm, bringing it behind the body, coaxing the right shoulder back, broadening through the front of the chest. And then find your way back to cat pose again now. Take an inhale here and then move on to child's pose as you exhale. Come all the way up onto the knees now, making a big circle around the body, bringing the palms together overhead. And then sweep your arms behind the body, bring the hands to the back of the pelvis, pressing into the pelvis in this adaptation of camel pose. Opening up through the heart, lifting through the solar plexus as we connect with that lovely energy of the sign of Cancer. All about heart and home, all about nourishing ourselves and coming home to ourselves just as we are. Raise the arms high now, and then float the hands down to the mat. From here, let's move on to downward dog, having a little play, a little walk out as you arrive in the shape, shaking at your head. Yes, yes, yes. No, no, no. And then finding your symmetry here, lifting the hips high, Drawing the belly into the spine, let's soften it into the elbows and knees and find a little bit more space through the collarbones. When you're ready, breathe in and shift the weight of the body forward so we come to plank pose, and then drop your knees down. We're going to lower the body in one piece to the earth and then rise into upward facing dog on the next inhalation. Lower yourself down as you exhale. Rising into upward facing dog again, breathing in. Lowering on your exhale. And then coming into the shape one more time and holding here in your upward facing dog. Let's broaden through the shoulders. Change where you're directing your gaze until you feel your neck quite spacious and long. Lift the heart, lift the solar plexus. And then from here, let's move to downward dog again. Easing your way into the shape. And let's imagine a sling dropping from the ceiling, supporting you under the hips, inviting the hips just a little bit higher. When you're ready, float the body forward to plank pose, shoulders over hands, drop your knees down, and then lower the torso in one piece to the earth. Rise into upward facing dog, breathing in. Start your exhale and lower down. Rising into the shape as you breathe in, lowering on your exhale. One more round. And then moving on to downward dog again. When you're ready, walk your feet towards your hands, coming into a forward fold. Take a half lift when you breathe in next, and then fold as you exhale. Take the hands to the hips, draw the elbow tips back, lead with the heart and come up to standing, raising the arms high. As you exhale, take a twist to the left, pressing into the earth, the arms open wide. Raise your arms again, breathing in, and then twist to the right. Raise your arms again, breathing in. Drop your gaze to the floor and unfurl through the neck, the upper back, the middle and lower back into Uttanasana, our forward fold. Take a half lift when you breathe in and then fold as you exhale. Take the hands to the hips, draw the elbow tips back, lead with the heart and come up to standing, palms facing each other. We'll move to Utkatasana now, classical chair pose, settling into the shape. Finding that presence again in the 3 points of support in your feet. Find your center of gravity and a little more space through the neck. And then let's take Jala Mudra now, taking the ends of the pinky tips to the thumb tips, holding this mudra that represents the flow of prana through the body, the flow of energy through the body, working with the water element. Come to standing when you breathe in next, palms together overhead. We'll take a little back bend now as we welcome vibrancy into the body, and then bring the hands into the heart. Step your left foot back. And we arrive in our warrior one shape. So just taking a moment to really find your steadiness before we start to move. And then we'll inhale and open the arms wide, warrior one. As you exhale, bring the hands into the heart as you come home to you. Opening up again, feeling like your fingertips are moving through water. Then hands into the heart as you honor you. In our third round, let's hold in warrior one with our arms high, Jala Mudra, both hands, pinky tips to thumb tips. Let's bring a little more strength to the back leg. So you feel both legs holding you as evenly as each other, directing the hips and the heart towards the top end of the mat and softening your shoulders, creating a whole lot of space all around your heart and solar plexus. Bring the hands together And then let's pivot on the back foot and move to warrior two, gazing over the fingers of the right hand, softening the arms as if they're flowing on the surface of water. And then we'll breathe in and reverse the warrior now, moving to side angle pose. Flowing between these two shapes. And as I said earlier, maybe not moving right into the extremities of the shape to really encourage that sense of flow as we move. Aware of opening up through the side body and allowing energy we're holding that doesn't serve us to simply float away. And when you come to your side angle pose this time, we're going to hold here, lengthening out through the left side of the body. Let's notice what we're doing with that forward knee. If we're dropping it in, you might make the angle of your back foot a little less extreme in order to line up the right hip, the right knee, and the ankle. Pivot on the back foot and send both arms forward now. And then send your arms wide to warrior one. We'll sweep the arms behind the body, interlacing the fingers, lifting the heart, opening up through the throat, broadening across the collarbones, steady and strong in your foundations. Raise your arms high now, and then bring the hands into the heart, Jala Mudra, as we come out. Raise your arms again, breathing in warrior one. And then we'll fold forward now, bringing the hands inside the right thigh or knee or shin. And then let's open to Trikonasana, sending the left arm high. Float the arm down as you exhale. Taking 2 more rounds. Again, let's imagine the arm floating through water, the fingertips brushing through the edges of water as we move. In this third round, let's hold in the shape. Let's take a bend in that elevated arm, bring it behind the body, coax the left shoulder back, broaden out through the chest, and then choose where you're going to direct your gaze to sweeten things for your neck, finding the position that feels right for you just as you are today. Send the arm high again, and then float the hand down to meet the other one. Raise your arms high, bringing the palms together overhead, Anjali over the crown, maybe taking a little bit more of a back bend if you feel like it. And then we're going to fold forward and let the hands find the top of the right knee, bowing the head right down. Walk your hands down that right leg and let your hands find the mat now. Steady up on your right leg and then send your left leg into the air behind you in our one-legged balance, Ekapada Uttanasana. Bring your left foot to meet the right one now. Take a half lift when you breathe in, and then fold as you exhale. Take the hands to the hips, draw the elbow tips back, lead with the heart and come up to standing, palms together overhead. Arriving in mountain pose here, pressing your feet into the earth, feeling into your foundations and feeling into everything that supports you from underneath. Soften your shoulders, creating a whole lot of space around your heart as you drop into your own heart in this practice and in the day ahead, letting you be at home with yourself in all of that energy. Take a little back bend and then bring the hands into the heart, Anjali Mudra, and just landing, meandering through your body, being the witness to little points of dukkha you become aware of, little areas of tension or tightness or fatigue. And also being aware of sukha in the body, of areas that feel sweet and spacious and open. And just sitting with that idea that both can be and are present for us. breathing into the places holding dukkha, your breath flowing with prana, with animating life force to nourish, to heal and nurture. And then when you're ready, let's step the right foot back, coming into a warrior position on this side. Again, let's just make sure we're nice and stable before we begin to move. Breathe in and open the arms wide, warrior one. And then hands come into the heart as we come out. Opening up again, imagining your fingertips moving through water. Hands into the heart as you come home to you. Raise your arms high this time in warrior one, Jala Mudra, both hands. Bring a little more strength to your right leg this time, feeling into both legs, holding you as steadily as each other. Soften the shoulders again, creating all of that space around the heart. Bring the hands together. And then we'll move to warrior two now, pivoting on your back foot and gazing over the fingers of the left hand now as we really settle into the shape, imagining your arms floating on the surface of water. Breathe in and reverse your warrior now, and then move to side angle pose as you exhale. Flowing between these two shapes with that sense of jala, of the water element of the body supporting us. And when you next come to your side angle pose, we're going to hold here, lengthening out through the right side of the body from the toes to the fingertips. Have a little look down at your left knee. If you notice it's dropping in, bring the knee back, maybe change the angle of your back foot to help this, to help us align the hip, the knee, and the ankle on the left side. Pivot on the back foot and direct both arms forward now. Send your arms wide, the fingers running through water, and then hands into the heart, Jala Mudra. Raise your arms high, breathing in. And then let's sweep the arms behind the body, interlace the fingers, draw the hands away from the heart and lift the gaze. Open up through the throat, inviting clarity and ease in every word we speak today. And then raise the arms again. Fold forward and we'll let the hands come inside the left thigh or knee or shin. And then we'll open to Trikonasana now, raising the right arm up. Float the arm down as you exhale. Send the arm high, again breathing in. Floating it down as if through water on the exhale. One more round. And when we come into this elevation, we're going to bend that right arm, bring it behind the body, coax the shoulder back, broaden out through the chest, and then choose where you're directing your gaze on this side, finding the sweeter position for your neck, welcoming your body just as you find it to be today. Send the arm high, float the hand down to meet the other one. And then we'll raise both arms high, warrior one, palms together overhead, a little back bend if you feel like it. And then fold forward, let the hands find the top of the left knee. We're going to walk the hands down the left leg and let them find the mat. Steady up on your left leg and then raise the right leg into the air behind you in our one-legged balance on this side. Step the right foot to meet the left one now. Take a half lift when you breathe in. Fold as you exhale. Take the hands to the hips, draw the elbow tips back, lead with the heart coming up to standing, palms together overhead, arriving in mountain pose again. And as you stand on top of your mountain, be aware of the streams that are flowing down that mountain from the very highest peaks all the way down to the ocean. Sense into an ease of movement, an ease of flow. And take a little back bend. Bring the hands into the heart, Jala Mudra. And just landing. Feeling into the cascade of energy through the body. The vibrancy at the ends of your fingertips. The sense of being grounded through your feet as they connect with the earth. And the majesty of your spine, long and strong. And then drop into your heart again, coming home to you exactly as you are today. When you're ready, let's make a big circle around the body, raising the arms high. Fold all the way forward as you exhale. And then from here, let's move to downward dog. Really lengthening out through the limbs and the spine. Arriving in your symmetry when you're ready. And then drop your knees to the mat, returning to cat. And taking a few rounds of cat-cow, or maybe taking Ganesha pose now, swirling around. Just being led by your body, and again, in a really sort of flowing way. Following your body's lead and just dropping into those places that are asking for a little bit of intuitive movement. Directing prana there, carried by the breath. Following your body's lead. Find your way back to cat when you're ready. Walk your hands back towards the body, and then let's come to seated now in Dandasana. I'm going to extend the legs flowing forward of the body. You might have a little bit of a bend in your knees if you like, if you're tight through the hamstrings today, and let your hands just rest by the side of the body. Let's float the crown over the heart over the tailbone over the earth. Really tuning into the length of the spine. Raise your arms high as you breathe in. And then when you exhale, guide your toes towards you, reclining back. Broaden through the back of the shoulders, the toes making a light contact with the mat. Navasana, boat pose. Raise your arms high, breathing in. And then let's hinge at the hips and let the spine move forward. There's going to be a point where your back wants to round. Let it do that. Let your hands land where they will and soften your knees a little bit more. Just taking a little bit of gentle, intuitive movement here. Tuning into any places through the pelvis or the spine that are feeling a little stuck. And again, tuning into that sense of how the synovial fluid is in these key joints. Movement is the thing. Take your hands to your shins. We'll take a half lift, lengthening out the spine. Breathe out right there. And then come all the way up to seated, raising your arms high. On exhale, slide the toes towards the body, reclining back as we come to boat pose again. Really firing up through the abdominal wall, the shoulders broad. Raise your arms as you breathe in. And then we'll hinge at the hips again, folding forward, keeping the back long until it wants to round, and then letting it do that. Hands landing where they will. Soften your knees, kind of noodle into the shape a little bit more in this softer version of Paschimottanasana, a forward fold. I'm going to take one more round, so hands to the shins. Breathe in, lengthening the spine. Breathe out right there. Come all the way to seated, raising the arms up. And then on exhale, slide the toes towards you, sitting back into this, broad shoulders, long through the neck, strong through the abdominal wall. And then when you're ready, let's gently, gently find our way out of this onto the mat. That's always my favorite part of boat pose, I have to say, the bit where we come out. We're going to take the arms wide. Let's take the feet as wide as the mat. Initially, we're just going to drop the knees into the middle constructive rest position as we were at the very beginning. And just let your spine settle. Navasana is quite a strong one. Just giving your body a moment to rest. And then if you like, you can start to drop one knee into the middle, one knee out to the side. Doing this quite intuitively, you might find your body suggests one side wants a little bit more depth or a little bit more time in the shape. And I like to, when I do this myself, kind of arrive there and then push down a little deeper into it to get a little bit more juice out of those hip joints. But take it gently, as always. Follow your body's lead and never forcing or pushing anything. Always keeping ahimsa, non-violence, in the front of our practices. Whichever side you come to next, let's hold there for a little bit. Gazing in the opposite direction from your knees. Inching the fingertips a little further away from the midline. Breathing freely and deeply. Allowing that breath to flow with ease through the lungs. And prana flow with the breath through the body. Come back to center. And then let's drop the knees to the other side, holding here for a little bit. Gazing away from your knees. Inching the fingers a little further away. Breathing freely and deeply. Come back to center when you're ready, and we'll finish with Apanasana. So lifting the feet off the floor, we're going to pop the hands on top of the kneecaps. We'll inhale and send the legs away. Start your exhalation and bring the knees into the chest. Sending the limbs away, maybe taking the arms wide or overhead if you like. Start to exhale and bring everything back in. And let this one be your last round of Apanasana. And then we'll prepare for our relaxation. So you might like to take constructive rest position if your lower back's feeling a bit tired. That's a nice place to be for relaxation, dropping the knees into the middle. Or if you're looking for a little more brightness in the body today, drop your knees open wide, bringing the soles of the feet together in butterfly pose. Or of course, Shavasana, long legs down the mat if you like. Releasing our physical practice now and releasing any guidance on your breathing. Body just breathing itself now. Feeling into all the points of contact you're making with the earth. And feel yourself not just resting upon, but really resting into the earth now. Supported and cradled by layers and layers of energy. This energy of Ishvara that holds space for you to be exactly as you are. And that holds space for you to drop into your own heart just as you find it. Feel yourself floating in this energy of Ishvara. And let your mind get really quiet. Let your heart be steadied. And let your body really rest. Giving yourself this time now just to be. Finding gratitude towards yourself now for having taken time to practice yoga today. Doing something nourishing and restorative just for you. And finding gratitude too for being in a healthy and agile body. Able to breathe and move freely. To live where we do. And be able to make all the choices you can to honor yourself exactly as you are. Bring a little movement to your fingers and toes now. Deepen your breathing again. And when you're ready, take a long stretch through the body or draw your knees up to your chest. And then roll over to the side. Take a few moments there to reorient. And we'll come to a seated position. Let's take one hand to the heart now. Let the other hand rest on the earth in front of you, Bhumi Sparsha Mudra. Floating the crown over the heart over the tailbone over the earth. Tuning into the subtle flow of prana through the central channel of the body as all the energy centers come into balance and harmony. holding you in a state of sattva, of equilibrium, as we close our session today. And with your hand resting on your heart, letting yourself really settle in there as we harness this lovely energy of the sign of Cancer, all about heart and home, letting you come right home to yourself and sit in that energy. And feeling into the earth, feeling into all that supports you, everything that allows you the space and the time that you need to just be you. Let's bring the hands to the center of the forehead now, inviting inspiration, creativity, and wonder into our thoughts. Bring the hands to the throat, inviting kindness and gratitude into all of our words. And hands to the heart center now as a reminder to move through all of our days with our hearts wide open, receptive to everything nourishing and beautiful in our world. And we'll close our session now by chanting the sound of Om together, opening the arms wide as we breathe in and hands into the heart as we chant. Thank you for practicing with me today, everyone. Have a beautiful day ahead. Namaste.